express yourself and enjoy family participation. And so a lot of tradition is good if you're able to distinguish the difference between truth and tradition. Now, tradition is a practice. Truth is an understanding. So in preparation for Easter, now Easter is the greatest day of celebration for the Christian church. And when I say Christian church embraces a follower of Christ. Not people that are like Christ, because no one is like Christ. But people that are followers of Christ. So when Christians begin to prepare themselves for Easter, and we need to prepare ourselves to celebrate the greatest day in all of Christendom, and that's not Christmas. See, Christmas is a great day of celebration when we talk about a young virgin giving birth to a child wrapped in swaddling clothes, laying in a manger, and his name was Emmanuel, which has been interpreted as God with us. God coming down into the human family so that he could experience what we suffer and what we are exposed to. See, God is a spirit, and he couldn't experience. He didn't understand what his creation. He said, wait a minute. No, he didn't. He said, I'm going to have to go down and walk among them and take upon myself their burdens, their sufferings, their sacrifices, and so I can feel their hurt and heartache and pain, because now whenever he was manifested in human flesh and walked among us, he experienced everything that we will or ever have experienced. There's nothing that we're going to go through that he didn't go through. And the glorious thing about it is that he was an example unto us, not in the spirit, but in the flesh. God in the flesh showed us how that we can live. And whenever he experienced everything that we will or have experienced in the flesh, he assured us that we can be overcomers. So whenever we look at Christmas, and we've already gone through Christmas, now we're suffering the burdens of Christmas. We're trying to pay off the department stores and the credit cards and the... Well, I mean, let's face it, that's what America celebrates at Christmas time most. Isn't that right? I mean, see, if it wasn't for Christmas, the merchants would have to get more Halloween to sell more candy and more Thanksgiving to sell more turkey and all, because Christmas is the greatest day of merchandise in this country. But now we are getting ready for Easter. Easter is a lot more difficult to accept and to understand than Christmas. You don't have any problem with Christmas. You got a Christmas tree set up. You got presents underneath that tree, and all of the children, and especially the grandchildren, all anticipating when can we get up and go and open up our presents. So that's a glorious day, a joyous day. But what about Easter? Easter, well, it takes a great leap of faith to prepare for Easter. Now, before you can witness Easter, you've got to go through Good Friday, or at least the afternoon that Jesus was crucified. Now, my wife and I have been to New Orleans several times, but we've been to Mardi Gras one time. And Mardi Gras is where that all those Cajuns, including her brother-in-law and her sister, they all get together and they have one hellacious party called the Mardi Gras. They're getting ready in preparation, and then they go through Ash Wednesday and then 40 days of Lent, and then Easter. So it takes a great leap of faith to go from Christmas to Easter, because now we are talking about one that is going to be denied, rejected, and hang on a tree. How can anyone that never did anything but good? Now, if you study and look at the life of Jesus, and we have a misconception because we see something that he, if you want to follow me, go sell everything that you have and give it to the poor and follow after me. Well, I told one man that one day, well, that's not what I want to hear. Well, if you're going to follow after me, you got to get out of your fishing boat and you got to get to the place to where that you can put your total trust and dependency in me and on me. But that's not what we want to hear. Now, what about the one that he has come to suffer and to die? We're talking about how do we prepare to understand one that said, I have come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law. And then he simplified it. It's not several hundred ordinances and all. It becomes two principles. It becomes two pedestals. And he said the first one is, you shall love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, and everything that's in it. You shall love God. In other words, you shall put God first in your life. I want God first in my life. Well, I don't always do that. I said I want to put God first in my life. I want to be in a position where that I know that whatever I face, whatever I do, whatever I go through, God's there with me. And he said the second is likened unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. I have a little more difficulty with that one. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. I can put forth an effort to do that, but to love my neighbor as myself. I got a neighbor that has no concern about me. He comes through the back alley with his Tyler's loud jukebox pulsating the side of the car while I'm trying to watch television, and it just rattles the window. It's very difficult for me to love him as I love God. But that's what Jesus said. He said they're both the same. One is likened unto the other. In other words, as you've done to these, you've done unto me. Well, now, I want to look at God in a different way than I look at my fellow man. How do I prepare myself for Easter? See, you can't have a resurrection without a crucifixion. It's impossible for there to be a resurrection. It's impossible for there to be an Easter. Now, we can have a Christmas, but we can't have an Easter. See, Christmas, we're talking about unto us, a son is born unto us, a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulders. That gives me great peace to know that the government's on his shoulders.